The moment Maya Vance's lips touched the stranger's mouth, she knew three things. 1, she'd just saved a man's life. 2, she'd blown her cover after 5 years of hiding. And 3, the cold press of a gun barrel against her spine meant someone had already figured out who she really was. Before we dive into this story, I want to invite you to stick around until the very end. If you enjoy it, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, let's begin. The Violet Hour wasn't the kind of bar that attracted trouble. At least, that's what Maya told herself every night when she locked the doors at 2 a.m. and walked the 6 blocks to her studio apartment in shoes that pinched her toes. It was a Wednesday. Wednesdays were slow. The kind of slow where you could hear ice settling in glasses and the hum of the vintage Wurlitzer jukebox in the corner playing songs nobody under 50 recognized. Maya liked it that way. Quiet meant predictable. Predictable meant safe. She was wiping down the mahogany bar when the first suit walked in. Not unusual. The Violet Hour sat in that weird pocket of downtown where the financial district bled into the warehouse conversion, so suits stopped in sometimes. But this one had that look, the kind Maya's father had taught her to spot before she'd turned 12. Expensive fabric that draped just right to hide the bulk of a shoulder holster. Eyes that moved too much. Hands that stayed loose and ready. She kept wiping, didn't look up. "We're closing soon," she said, her voice carrying that practiced disinterest bartenders perfected. "But I can get you one drink." The man didn't sit. He moved to the window, angled himself so he could see the street and the room at the same time. Professional. Maya's pulse ticked up, just a fraction. She forced it down. 2 more suits came in 30 seconds later. These ones sat, flanking the door. They ordered whiskey, neat, didn't touch the glasses when she served them. Then he walked in. Maya knew who Adrian Moretti was, the same way most people in this city knew, through whispers and newspaper articles that never quite said what everyone understood. He owned half the waterfront, allegedly. 3 city councilmen, definitely. His name appeared in philanthropy sections and crime blotters with equal frequency, though nothing ever stuck. He was younger than she expected, maybe 35. Dark hair going silver at the temples in a way that probably drove women crazy. Suit that cost more than she made in 3 months. He moved like someone who'd never been afraid of anything in his life, which meant he was either stupid or more dangerous than everyone else in the room combined. Maya was betting on the latter. He sat at the bar, right in front of her, smiled like they were old friends. "Bourbon," he said. "Whatever's good." She poured him a Blanton's. Didn't charge him, didn't make conversation, just set the glass down and moved away, back to inventory she didn't need to check. That's when she saw it. The reflection in his window behind the top shelf bottles. Angle sharp, there and gone in a heartbeat. But she'd spent the first 18 years of her life learning to catch details like that. Learning that the difference between seeing and not seeing was the difference between breathing and bleeding out on a kitchen floor while your father's eyes went empty. Rooftop. Across the street. 4th floor window, probably the old Monroe building. Scope glint. The kind of position her father would have called textbook clean. Her hands didn't shake. She'd trained that response out of herself years ago. She had maybe 8 seconds before the shooter lined up his shot. Maybe 10 if he was being careful. Every instinct Maya had spent 5 years cultivating screamed at her to drop behind the bar. Let it happen. This wasn't her world anymore. She'd walked away. Built something different. Something clean. But her father's voice was louder than her instincts, even after 7 years in the ground. You see someone about to die and you do nothing, you're already dead inside. May as well pull the trigger yourself. Adrian Moretti sipped his bourbon, completely unaware that across the street, someone was about to redecorate the Violet Hour's vintage tin ceiling with his brain matter. Maya moved. Not toward cover. Toward him. She rounded the bar fast, her sneakers silent on the worn floorboards. The suits by the door clocked the movement, hands drifting inside jackets, but she was already there, already sliding onto the stool next to Moretti, already turning his face toward hers. "Play along," she breathed. Then she kissed him. Her hand cupped the back of his neck, fingers spread wide, and she pulled him down and to the side in a movement that probably looked passionate and definitely moved his head 8 inches left of where it had been. The window behind the bar exploded. Glass rained down like frozen rain, and the bottle of Blanton's she'd just poured from detonated into a spray of amber and crystal. The sound was massive in the enclosed space, sharp and flat and final. Maya felt Moretti go rigid against her mouth, felt the suits erupt into motion around them, felt the world she'd carefully constructed start to crack apart like the window. She broke the kiss. Moretti stared at her. His eyes were gray, cold, but not stupid. "Down," she said. He moved without questioning, dropping from the stool as she swept the bar top with her arm, sending glasses crashing to create visual chaos. The suits were already returning fire, shooting blind through the broken window, and Maya grabbed Moretti's shoulder and hauled him toward the back. More gunfire, different angles. The shooter had backup, or the suits were more trigger-happy than she'd thought. Either way, the Violet Hour was about to become a crime scene, and she needed to not be here when the cops showed up to ask questions. She kicked open the kitchen door. Moretti followed, moving with the kind of controlled urgency that told her he'd been in situations like this before. Good. She didn't have time to babysit. "The roof," he said. Not a question. Obvious. Back alley. Trapped if they have a perimeter. His mouth twitched. Might have been a smile. "You've done this before." Maya didn't answer. She was already at the delivery entrance, checking the alley through the gap in the door. Clear, but that didn't mean it would stay that way. "We have maybe 30 seconds before they reposition," she said. "There's a storm drain halfway down the alley. Leads to the old subway maintenance tunnels." "How do you know that?" "Because I used to run this neighborhood before you owned it." She saw his eyes change then, saw him really look at her for the first time, past the bartender uniform and the careful anonymity she'd wrapped around herself. "Vance," he said, just the name, flat. Her stomach dropped. "We don't have time for this." "Marcus Vance was your father." Was being the operative word. She shoved the door open. "You coming or waiting for them to finish the job?" He came. They ran. Maya's shoes slapped against wet asphalt, and behind them she heard shouting. The suits were probably trying to secure Moretti's car, which meant they had maybe 20 seconds before someone thought to check the alley. The storm drain grate was exactly where she remembered. She'd mapped every exit in a 6-block radius when she'd first moved back to the city, old habits dying hard. She hauled it up, muscles burning, and dropped into the darkness below. Moretti followed without hesitation. Points for that. The tunnel was exactly as unpleasant as she remembered. Standing water, rats, the smell of decay, and rust. But it was dark, and it was hidden, and it led 3 blocks away to a subway access panel she'd marked years ago. She pulled a small flashlight from her pocket, LED, bright enough to navigate by. This way. They moved in silence, footsteps echoing in the confined space. Above them, she could hear sirens starting to wail. Response time was getting better in this neighborhood. That was new. "Why?" Moretti's voice echoed strangely in the tunnel. "Why what?" "Why save me?" Maya kept walking. Seemed like the right thing to do. People don't risk their lives for strangers based on vague moral principles. Maybe I'm not people. No. You're Marcus Vance's daughter, which makes you either very brave or very stupid. She stopped, turned. The flashlight beam caught his face, throwing shadows across features that were probably handsome when they weren't covered in concrete dust and bourbon. "My father's been dead 7 years," she said. "I'm just a bartender." Bartenders don't recognize sniper positions. They don't know the city's underground exit routes. And they definitely don't kiss strange men to move them out of a kill zone. "Maybe I'm a very talented bartender." This time he definitely smiled. "Maybe." She turned and kept walking. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit had faded. They'd either lost the trail or decided the tunnels weren't worth the effort. Maya was betting on the latter. Moretti's people would lock down the perimeter, sweep the area, and then extract him somewhere safe, which meant she had maybe 10 minutes to get him somewhere public enough to hand him off and disappear before anyone started asking questions she couldn't answer. The subway access panel was rusted but still functional. She kicked it open and pulled herself up into the dim fluorescent glow of the 7th Street station. Late enough that the platform was mostly empty, just a couple of college kids and a homeless man sleeping against a pillar. Moretti emerged behind her. He'd lost his jacket somewhere. His white shirt was streaked with grime, and there was a cut on his cheekbone she hadn't noticed before. Blood ran down in a thin line, dark against his skin. You're bleeding, she said. He touched his face, looked at his fingers. Glass. There's a clinic 2 blocks from here. Tell them I know where the clinic is. Of course he did. Men like Moretti knew where all the clinics were, the kind that didn't ask questions and didn't file reports. A train was approaching, the sound building from a distant rumble to a roar. Maya glanced at the schedule board. Northbound. That would work. This is where we separate, she said. No. Excuse me? You saved my life. That creates certain obligations. I don't need your gratitude. That's fortunate because I'm not offering it. I'm offering protection. Maya laughed. Couldn't help it. From what? From whoever just tried to kill me. They saw you. Your face is on the Violet Hour's security footage, along with your very distinctive intervention. By morning, they'll know who you are, where you live, and how to find you. The train pulled in. Doors hissed open. I can handle myself, Maya said. I don't doubt it. But handling yourself against street crime is different from handling yourself against the kind of people who plan rooftop assassinations. He stepped closer. Not threatening. Just present. Your father made enemies. A lot of them. Some of those enemies are my enemies. And now that you've publicly aligned yourself with me, you're a target. I'm not aligned with anyone. Tell that to the bullet holes in your bar. The doors started to close. Maya caught one with her hand, held it. I don't need saving, she said. Neither did I. Yet here we are. She should get on the train, disappear into the night, change her name again, move to a new city, start over. She'd done it before, but something in his eyes stopped her. Not pleading, not manipulation, just certainty. Like he knew exactly how this would play out and was giving her the chance to choose the smart option instead of the stubborn one. The doors closed. The train pulled away. Maya watched it go, then turned back to Moretti. One night, she said. You get me somewhere safe for one night while I figure out my next move. Then we're done. Agreed. And you don't ask about my father. His expression didn't change. I can't promise that. Then we have a problem. We have several problems. That's just the most interesting one. A car pulled up to the curb outside the station. Black, expensive, windows tinted dark enough to be illegal. One of the suits from the bar got out, scanned the area, then opened the back door. Moretti gestured. Shall we? Maya looked at the car, at the suit, at the train disappearing into the tunnel. She thought about her apartment, compact and clean and carefully anonymous. About the go bag she kept in the closet, always packed, just in case. About the phone number she'd memorized but never called, the one that would connect her to people who could make Maya Vance disappear and someone new appear in her place. She thought about her father, bleeding out on the kitchen floor while she hid in the pantry and tried not to breathe too loud. One night, she said again. She got in the car. Moretti's safe house wasn't what she expected. Maya had been in safe houses before. Cramped apartments with bars on the windows and guns taped under furniture. Places that smelled like fear and cigarettes and last resort. This was a penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river, furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum, art on the walls that was either very expensive or very good forgeries, kitchen bigger than her entire apartment. You have interesting taste in safe houses, she said. Moretti poured himself a drink from a crystal decanter. Didn't offer her one. I have interesting taste in general. 2 more suits had materialized when they'd arrived, running security sweeps and checking sight lines. They moved with military precision, which meant Moretti either hired well or paid extremely well. Probably both. One of them approached now. Older than the others, gray at the temples, scar across his left eyebrow that pulled his face into a permanent skeptical expression. Building's secure, he said. No tail, no surveillance we could detect. But if they have thermal or drone coverage, they don't, Moretti said. The window was opportunistic, professional, but not military grade. You sure about that? No, but I'm sure enough to sleep tonight. The man glanced at Maya. His expression didn't change, but she felt the weight of evaluation anyway. She checks out? She saved my life, Vincent. I think we can extend her basic hospitality. Vincent didn't look convinced. Marcus Vance's kid shows up the same night someone takes a shot at you. That's not a coincidence. No, Moretti agreed. It's not. He looked at Maya when he said it. She held his gaze. I haven't seen or spoken to anyone from my father's world in 7 years, she said. I left. I stayed, gone. I wasn't supposed to come back. But you did. My mother died. She's buried here. I came back for the funeral and stayed because leaving felt like running again. Was it? Was it what? Running. Maya didn't answer. Vincent made a sound low in his throat that might have been approval or dismissal. I'll post men on the exits. She tries to leave. We detain her. She's not a prisoner, Moretti said. She's a liability. She's a guest. Vincent left, radiating disapproval. Moretti sipped his drink. You'll have to forgive Vincent. He's protective. He's smart, Maya said. I would be suspicious too. Are you? Am I what? A liability. She smiled, didn't mean it. I kissed you in front of a sniper. My liability status is pretty much confirmed. He set down his glass, moved closer. Not invading her space, but close enough that she had to tilt her head back slightly to maintain eye contact. Your father, he said, he taught you how to spot the sniper. It wasn't a question. My father taught me a lot of things, including how to disappear. Especially that. But not well enough, apparently. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. Meaning, I've known who you were since the first week you started working at the Violet Hour. I own that building, Maya. I own most of the buildings on that street. You think I don't vet the people working in my properties? She stepped back. You knew. I knew. And you just, what? Waited to see what I'd do? I waited to see if you were a threat. You weren't. You poured drinks and kept your head down and very carefully avoided anything that might connect you to your father's legacy. He paused. Until tonight. Tonight was different. Why? Because you were about to die. So? People die in this city every day. Why save me specifically? It was a good question. Maya didn't have a good answer. I don't know, she said finally. Reflex maybe? My father used to say that the moment you stop seeing people as people, you're already gone. Maybe I didn't want to be gone yet. Moretti studied her. His eyes were very gray in the dim light, and there was something in them she couldn't quite read. Your father was right about that, he said quietly. The moment you stop seeing people as people, you become something else, something easier to kill. Is that what you are? What do you think? Maya looked at him, really looked, past the expensive suit and the controlled power and the careful charm. Looking for the thing underneath. She saw a man who'd probably killed people, who'd definitely ordered people killed, who moved through the world with the casual confidence of someone who knew exactly how much damage he could do and had made peace with it. But she also saw something else, something that had noticed a bartender in his building and run a background check but hadn't forced her out, something that had let her keep her anonymity even though it would have been safer to expose her. I think you're dangerous, she said, but I don't think you're gone. Not yet. High praise. It wasn't meant to be. He smiled. Actually smiled. And it changed his whole face, made him look younger, almost human. You can have the guest room, he said. Second door on the left. There's clothes in the closet that might fit. Vincent will post someone outside your door. To protect me or to keep me contained? Both. At least he was honest. Maya walked to the guest room. It was bigger than her apartment. King bed, ensuite bathroom, view of the river that probably cost extra. The closet had women's clothes in various sizes, all high-end, all tasteful. She wondered how many other women had stayed here, how many had been guests and how many had been something else. She showered, scrubbing off the smell of gunpowder and tunnel water, found a t-shirt and sleep pants that fit well enough, checked the windows, locked but not alarmed, checked the door. Vincent's man was indeed standing guard, professional and alert. She lay down on the bed, didn't sleep. Outside, the city glittered like broken glass, like a promise, like a threat. Maya thought about her father, about the kitchen floor, about the way his eyes had lost focus while she'd pressed her small hands against the wound in his chest and tried to stop the bleeding even though she'd known, even at 11, that it was already too late. He'd made her promise. With his last breath, holding her hands in his, blood sticky between their fingers. Get out, stay out, live clean. She'd kept that promise for 7 years. And tonight, in the space of a single kiss, she'd broken it. Her phone buzzed. She'd almost forgotten she had it. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, then did. Hello? Silence. Then breathing. Then a voice distorted through a modulator, gender indeterminate. Marcus Vance's daughter dies tonight, just like Daddy, just like everyone who crosses us. The line went dead. Maya sat up, looked at the phone, looked at the door where Vincent's man stood guard, looked at the city outside, beautiful and burning. One night, she'd said, but she was starting to think one night wouldn't be enough. Not nearly enough. Maya didn't knock. She walked straight out of the guest room, past Vincent's guard, who tried to stop her with a raised hand and a sharp "ma'am," and found Moretti in what looked like a study. He was on the phone speaking in Italian, but he ended the call when he saw her face. They called, she said. He set the phone down. Who? I don't know. Modulated voice said Marcus Vance's daughter dies tonight. Vincent materialized in the doorway behind her, gun already drawn. We're compromised. No. Moretti's voice was calm, too calm. If they knew where she was, they wouldn't call. They'd act. Unless the call's a distraction, Vincent said. Or a test, Maya added. She held up her phone. They wanted to see if I'd panic, run, make myself an easier target. Moretti crossed to a laptop on the desk, typed something. A screen on the wall lit up. Security feeds from multiple angles around the building. Empty streets, parked cars. Nothing moving except a cat crossing an alley 3 blocks away. Vincent, pull the phone records, Moretti said. I want to know where that call originated. Already on it. Vincent disappeared. Maya stood in the center of the study, her borrowed sleep pants feeling suddenly ridiculous. She'd faced down threats before. Had learned at her father's knee how to read violence, how to anticipate it, how to survive it. But this felt different. This felt personal in a way that made her skin crawl. How did they get my number? She asked. Same way I knew who you were. Information isn't hard to find if you know where to look. Moretti poured 2 drinks this time, handed her one without asking. The question isn't how, it's why now. Maya took the glass. Whiskey, good stuff. She drank. They saw me save you, she said. That makes me either an asset or a threat. Which one do you think you are? To you? Still deciding. His mouth twitched. Honest. You want me to lie? I want you to sit down before you fall down. You're running on adrenaline and it's going to crash soon. He was right. She could feel it. The shakiness starting in her hands, the way her pulse was too fast, the cold sweat forming at the base of her spine. Combat hangover, her father had called it that. The body's delayed reaction to mortal danger. She sat. The chair was leather, expensive, comfortable in a way that made her want to sink into it and sleep for a week. Tell me about your father, Moretti said. You said you couldn't promise not to ask. I said I couldn't promise. I didn't say I wouldn't ask. Maya looked at her glass, at the amber liquid catching the light, at anything except the man watching her with those 2 sharp eyes. What do you want to know? Why someone would wait 7 years to come after his daughter. Maybe they didn't know where I was. You came back for your mother's funeral. That was public record. If they wanted you dead, they had opportunities. Then maybe they didn't care until I became relevant again. By saving me. By saving you. Moretti sat in the chair across from her, close enough to talk quietly, far enough to not crowd. Deliberate spacing, the kind you learned when you regularly dealt with dangerous people. Your father worked for the Castellanos, he said. Enforcer, mostly. Some collections. Some cleanup. He was good at his job. I know what my father was. Do you know why he died? Maya's hands tightened on the glass. He stole from them. Or that's what they said. Found him guilty in about 30 seconds and put 2 bullets in his chest while I hid in the pantry and tried not to breathe. He didn't steal. She looked up sharply. How would you know? Because I was the one who found the real thief. 3 years after your father died, I tracked down a lieutenant named Danny Greco who'd been skimming for half a decade. He confessed before I killed him, told me everything, including the fact that he'd framed Marcus Vance to cover his own tracks. The room felt too small suddenly, too warm. You're lying, Maya said. Why would I? To manipulate me. To make me feel like I owe you something. You don't owe me anything. I'm telling you because you deserve to know the truth about the man who raised you. Maya stood, paced to the window. The city sprawled below, indifferent and infinite. My father made me promise, she said. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears, thin, young. Made me swear I'd get out, stay out, live clean, and I did. I kept that promise even when it meant walking away from everything I knew, even when it meant being alone. You weren't honoring his memory by hiding, Moretti said quietly. You were letting the people who killed him win. And what was I supposed to do? I was 11 years old, then I was 15, then 20. By the time I had the skills to do anything about it, everyone involved was dead or disappeared. Not everyone, she turned. What? The man who gave the order to kill your father, Victor Castellano. He's still alive, still running his organization from a compound in the mountains, still untouchable. Maya's heart was doing something complicated in her chest, something that felt like anger and grief and a door opening that she'd thought was locked forever. Why are you telling me this? Because whoever tried to kill me tonight, whoever threatened you, there's a good chance they're connected to the Castellanos. And if they are, then your father's death and my attempted murder are part of the same war. What war? Moretti stood, moved to stand beside her at the window, side by side, both of them reflected in the glass like ghosts. The Castellanos have been trying to expand into my territory for 3 years, he said. Systematically, carefully. They buy politicians, compromise judges, eliminate anyone who might stand in their way. I've been fighting them on every front, but they're patient. They're willing to play the long game. And I'm what? Collateral damage? Your leverage. If they can't kill me directly, they'll go after the people around me, send a message, create chaos. He paused. Or they genuinely want you dead because of who your father was, because you're a loose end they never tied off. Maya pressed her forehead against the cool glass. Outside, the city glittered like a circuit board, all light and connection and hidden current. I don't want this, she said. I know. I built a life. It wasn't much, but it was mine. It was clean. I know. And now it's gone. Yes. She appreciated that he didn't try to soften it, didn't offer false hope or empty comfort, just stood there and let her process the death of the careful anonymity she'd wrapped around herself like armor. Vincent returned, tablet in hand. Call came from a burner, pinged off a tower in the industrial district, but by the time we traced it, the phone was already off the network. Whoever made it knew what they were doing. Physical security? Moretti asked. Tight. No movement within 3 blocks. Rooftop access secured. If someone wants in, they'll have to work for it. Good. Double the rotation. No one sleeps. Vincent nodded and left. Moretti turned to Maya. You should rest. I can't. You should try anyway. Tomorrow's going to be complicated. As opposed to tonight, which was simple. That almost smile again. Relatively, Maya wanted to argue, wanted to demand answers to questions she didn't know how to ask, wanted to rewind 12 hours and make different choices, or the same choices for different reasons, or just not go to work at all. But she was tired, bone deep, soul tired. The kind of exhaustion that came from holding yourself together through crisis and then realizing the crisis wasn't over was maybe just beginning. The guest room, she said. Is it actually safe? Safer than anywhere else you could be right now. That's not reassuring. It wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be true. She walked back to the guest room. The guard was still there, professional and alert. She closed the door, locked it even though she knew the lock wouldn't stop anyone who really wanted in, and sat on the edge of the bed. Her phone sat on the nightstand, dark, silent, threatening. She picked it up, scrolled through her contacts. There weren't many. Her landlord. The bar's owner, technically Moretti's property manager. A few servers she'd worked with. One number labeled simply emergency that connected to a service her father had set up years ago, back when she'd first gone into hiding. She'd never called it. Wasn't even sure it still worked. Her finger hovered over the number. Then she put the phone down. Because calling for help would mean admitting she couldn't handle this. And maybe she couldn't, but she wasn't ready to admit it yet. Wasn't ready to become someone who needed saving instead of someone who did the saving. She lay down, closed her eyes, didn't sleep. Around 3 in the morning, she heard voices in the hallway. Low, urgent, Vincent, and someone else. She got up, pressed her ear to the door, traced the registration to a shell company, same one that owns the building where the shooter set up. Castellanos? Can't prove it yet, but the pattern matches. What about the girl? What about her? She a plant. Silence. Then Moretti's voice, colder than she'd heard it. If I thought she was a plant, she wouldn't be in my guest room. She'd be in the river. Just checking. Check somewhere else. Footsteps, moving away. Maya stepped back from the door. So Vincent didn't trust her. Smart. She wouldn't trust her either. But Moretti did. Or said he did. Which was either very stupid or very calculated. She was betting on calculated. She must have dozed eventually because she woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the smell of coffee. Her phone said 9:30. She'd slept 6 hours. It felt like 6 minutes. There were clothes laid out on the chair by the window. Black pants, dark blue blouse, leather jacket. All in her size, all expensive enough to make her uncomfortable. She dressed, found Moretti in the kitchen, reading something on a tablet while Vincent hovered nearby looking like he hadn't slept at all. Coffee? Moretti asked without looking up. Please. He poured. Black, no sugar. Handed it to her. How did you know how I take it? She asked. I own the bar where you work. I've seen you make yourself coffee approximately 200 times. Right, the cameras. She kept forgetting about the cameras. We need to talk about next steps, Moretti said. I thought the next step was me disappearing. That was before they called you. Now they know you're alive and they know you're connected to me. Disappearing won't help. So what will? He set down the tablet, looked at her directly. Working with me, actively. We find out who ordered the hit, we eliminate the threat, we end this. Maya laughed. Couldn't help it. You want me to help you fight a gang war? I want you to help me end one. I'm a bartender. You're Marcus Vance's daughter. You were raised in this world, trained in it. You know how these people think, how they operate? That's valuable. I've been out for 7 years. And you spotted a sniper position in 3 seconds and executed a perfect evasive maneuver under pressure. That's not something you forget. Vincent made a noise. This is a bad idea. Noted, Moretti said. She's a liability. We don't know her. We can't trust her. And bringing her into operational planning is asking for a knife in the back. Your objection is noted and overruled. Vincent's jaw tightened. You're thinking with the wrong part of your anatomy. I'm thinking strategically. She's already a target. Making her an asset instead of a victim is the smart play. Or it gets us all killed. Moretti turned to Vincent. His voice didn't rise, but something in it made the temperature in the room drop 10 degrees. If you can't follow my orders, there's the door. Otherwise, this conversation is over. Vincent stared at him for a long moment, then nodded once, sharp, and left. Maya sipped her coffee. It was good. Everything in this place was good. That was somehow more unsettling than if it had been a dump. He's right, you know, she said. About which part? The liability part. I could be working for the Castellanos. Could be setting you up. Are you? No. Then Vincent's wrong. How can you be sure? Moretti refilled his coffee. Because if you were working for them, you would have let me die last night. A sniper's bullet is a lot cleaner than whatever elaborate betrayal you'd have to orchestrate now. Maybe I'm playing a long game. Maybe, but I don't think so. Why not? He looked at her. Really looked. The way he had last night, like he was reading something written in a language only he could see. Because you have your father's eyes, he said. And Marcus Vance was a lot of things, but he wasn't a liar. Not about what mattered. Maya's throat felt tight. She swallowed coffee she didn't taste. I can't promise I'll be useful, she said. I'm not asking for promises. I'm asking for help. And if I say no, then I put you in protective custody until this is resolved. Safe house, armed guards. Very boring. That sounds like prison. It's meant to keep you alive. And if I help, then you get to actually do something instead of waiting to see who pulls the trigger first. Maya set down her coffee cup. Looked at the kitchen, all marble and chrome and careful design. Looked at Moretti, standing there in jeans and a t-shirt that probably cost more than her monthly rent, offering her a choice that wasn't really a choice. She thought about her father, about the promise she'd made, About 7 years of living small and quiet and safe. About how none of it had mattered in the end, because the past didn't stay buried just because you wanted it to. "What do you need me to do?" she asked. Moretti smiled. "Tell me everything you remember about the Castellano organization. Structure, personnel, habits, anything your father mentioned, anything you saw." "That was 7 years ago. Things change." "People don't." "Not really. The names might be different, but the patterns stay the same." So she told him. She told him about the way the Castellanos ran their territory like a feudal kingdom, with Victor at the top and a network of lieutenants below him, each controlling their own fiefdom. About how her father had reported to a man named Sal Torino, who'd been loyal to Victor for 30 years and had probably given the order to kill Marcus personally. She told him about the compound in the mountains where Victor lived, surrounded by guards and security systems, and enough firepower to hold off a small army. About the legitimate businesses they used to launder money, restaurants, construction companies, a chain of dry cleaners. She told him about the cops they owned, the judges they'd compromised, the politicians who showed up at Victor's Christmas parties and left with envelopes full of cash. And she told him about the one weakness she remembered, the thing her father had mentioned once, late at night when he'd been drinking and thought she was asleep. "Victor has a daughter," Maya said. "Isabella. She was 18 when my father died. He talked about her sometimes. Said Victor was grooming her to take over eventually, teaching her the business. But she was the weak point. The one thing he actually cared about, besides power." Moretti leaned forward. "Where is she now?" "I don't know. My father said she went to college somewhere. East Coast, maybe. But that was years ago." Vincent had returned at some point. He was standing in the doorway, listening. "I can find her," he said. Moretti nodded. "Do it. Quietly." "You're going to use her as leverage," Maya said. It wasn't a question. "If necessary." "She's innocent." "She's Victor Castellano's daughter. Innocent is relative. She didn't choose her father. Neither did you. But here we are." Maya wanted to argue, wanted to say that using someone's child as a weapon was crossing a line. But she knew that lines in this world were drawn in sand, easily erased, constantly redrawn. And she knew that if Victor was willing to kill her for being Marcus Vance's daughter, then Isabella Castellano wasn't safe either. Being born into this life meant you were always a piece on someone's board. "What else?" Moretti asked. They spent the next 2 hours going through everything Maya could remember. Names, places, patterns of operation. Moretti took notes on his tablet, occasionally asking questions that made her realize he'd been studying the Castellanos for longer than 3 years. This was personal for him, too. "Why do you care so much?" she asked finally. "You said they're expanding into your territory, but this feels like more than business." Moretti was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "They killed someone I cared about 2 years ago. Made it look like an accident, but I knew. And I've been waiting for the right moment to respond ever since." "Who?" "My sister, Elena. She was a prosecutor, going after organized crime. She had a case building against the Castellanos, and 3 weeks before the trial, her car went off a bridge in the rain." He looked at Maya. "Brake lines had been cut, very professional." "I'm sorry. So am I. But sorry doesn't bring her back. Destroying the organization that killed her might not either, but at least it's something." Maya understood that. The need to do something, anything, to make the grief mean something besides just pain. "So we're both here because of family," she said. "Seems that way." "That's either poetic or pathetic." "Can it be both?" She almost smiled. Vincent's phone buzzed. He looked at it, frowned. "We have a problem." "Define problem," Moretti said. "The violet hour is gone, burned to the ground about an hour ago. Fire department's calling it arson." Maya felt something drop in her stomach. The bar. Her bar. The place she'd spent 5 years building into something normal and safe and hers. Gone. "Anyone hurt?" she asked. Building was empty. They waited until after closing, made sure it was clear. This wasn't about casualties, it was about sending a message. "Message received," Moretti said quietly. Maya walked to the window again, looked out at the city that kept taking things from her. First her father, then her mother, then her anonymity. Now the one place she'd felt like she belonged. She felt Moretti's presence beside her before he spoke. "I'm sorry," he said. "Stop apologizing. It's not your fault." "Isn't it? They burned it because you saved me. They burned it because they're sending a message about power, about control, about what happens when you cross them." She turned to face him. "My father used to say that in this world, everything is a message. Every action, every reaction, it's all communication. What message do you want to send back?" Maya thought about that. About the girl she'd been, hiding in a pantry while her father bled out. About the woman she'd tried to become, pouring drinks and keeping her head down. About whoever she was now, standing in a penthouse with a crime boss and planning something that looked a lot like revenge. "I want to send the message that I'm not hiding anymore," she said. Moretti's eyes glinted. "Good, because we're going to need you visible for the next phase." "Which is? We're going to draw them out, make them think you're vulnerable, and when they come for you, we kill them," Maya finished, "or capture them, get information, find out who's giving the orders, and then kill them. And then kill them," he agreed. Vincent cleared his throat. "This plan involves using her as bait." "Yes, I hate it." "Your objection is noted. It's going to get her killed. Not if we do it right." Vincent looked at Maya. "You understand what you're signing up for. This isn't pouring drinks. This is putting yourself in the crosshairs and hoping we can pull you out before someone pulls the trigger." "I understand," Maya said. "Do you?" "Because I've seen this play out before. Civilians who think they can handle themselves, right up until the moment they can't. And then I'm the one scraping them off the pavement. I'm not a civilian. You've been playing civilian for 7 years. That's close enough." Maya met his eyes, didn't blink. "My father taught me how to shoot when I was 8, how to field strip a Glock when I was 10, how to spot surveillance, evade pursuit, and disable someone bigger than me when I was 12. I know what I am, Vincent, and I know what I'm capable of." "Knowing and doing are different things. Then I guess we'll find out which one matters more." Vincent looked at Moretti. "She's your responsibility." "I know. And when this goes sideways, it won't. You remember that I told you so." He left again. Moretti poured more coffee. "He'll come around. He doesn't have to like me. He just has to not shoot me." "That's a low bar." "I'm working with what I've got." They spent the rest of the morning planning. Moretti had a warehouse he used for legitimate shipping operations. Public enough to be accessible, private enough to control the environment. They'd leak information that Maya would be there, inventorying damaged goods from the fire, make it look like she was alone, vulnerable, distracted. And then they'd wait. "How do we leak the information?" Maya asked. "I have people in the Castellano organization, low level but connected enough to pass information up the chain." "You have moles." "I prefer the term strategic assets. That's just moles with better PR." He smiled. "Exactly." By noon, the plan was set. Maya would go to the warehouse at 8 that evening. Moretti's people would have the building surrounded, hidden but ready. She'd make herself visible, predictable. And when the Castellanos sent someone, and they would send someone, they'd be ready. "What if they send an army?" Maya asked. "They won't. Too visible, too risky. They'll send a small team, professionals, clean and quiet. Like the sniper last night. Like the sniper last night." Maya looked at the plan laid out on Moretti's tablet. The warehouse floor plan, the sight lines, the positions where his people would be hidden. It was thorough, professional, the kind of operation someone ran when they'd done this before. "How many times have you used someone as bait?" she asked. "Including you, including me." 7 times. "How many survived?" He didn't hesitate. "All of them. You're either very good or very lucky. I'm very prepared. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. That's a fortune cookie." Doesn't make it less true. Maya's phone buzzed. She looked at it, expecting another threat. Instead, it was a number she recognized, her landlord. She answered. "Hello? Ms. Vance, this is Robert Chen. I'm calling about your apartment." Her stomach sank. "What about it?" "There was a break-in last night. Police are here now. They're asking for you." Of course there was. Because burning the bar wasn't enough. They had to violate her home too, take everything. I'll be there as soon as I can, she said. She hung up, looked at Moretti. They hit my apartment. I'll have Vincent drive you, armed escort. The police are there. Then Vincent will be very polite and very visible. 20 minutes later, Maya was in the back of an armored SUV with Vincent driving and two more of Moretti's people following in a second vehicle. The city slid past outside, familiar and foreign at the same time. Her apartment was in a converted factory building in what used to be the garment district. Small, but hers. Or it had been. The door had been kicked in. Professional job, one strike, right next to the lock. Inside, everything had been methodically destroyed. Furniture slashed, electronics smashed, her clothes torn and scattered. But it wasn't random violence. It was searching. Someone had gone through every drawer, every closet, every possible hiding place, looking for something. Two uniformed cops were documenting the scene. They looked up when Maya walked in. Ms. Vance? That's me. Can you tell us what's missing? Maya walked through the wreckage. Her laptop was gone. The external hard drive where she'd kept photos of her parents. The locked box where she'd kept her father's watch and her mother's wedding ring. Everything that mattered. Everything that was irreplaceable. Personal items, she said. Her voice sounded hollow. Electronics. Jewelry. Any idea who might have done this? She looked at the cop. Young, maybe 25. Earnest expression. Probably thought he was going to make detective someday. No, she lied. We'll dust for prints, check with pawn shops, but honestly, without witnesses or security footage, I understand. Thank you. The cops left. Vincent stayed in the doorway, watching the hallway. Maya stood in the center of what used to be her living room and felt the last threads connecting her to her normal life snap. This was the message. You have nothing. You are nothing. We can take everything. Her phone buzzed again, same unknown number. She answered. Enjoy the show? The same distorted voice, same cold amusement. What do you want? I want you to understand. You can't hide. You can't run. You're already dead. You just don't know it yet. If you wanted me dead, I'd be dead. Maybe. Or maybe we're enjoying watching you squirm first. The line went dead. Maya looked at Vincent. They're playing with me. Psychological warfare, soften you up before the real hit. It's working. Good. She blinked. Good? Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you alert. The moment you stop being afraid is the moment you get sloppy. He glanced at his watch. We should go. Nothing here worth saving. He was right. Everything that mattered was already gone. They drove back to the penthouse in silence. Maya watched the city pass, thinking about messages and meaning, and the way violence was just another form of conversation in this world. When they arrived, Moretti was waiting with news. We found Isabella Castellano, he said. Where? New York. She's working as an art curator. Has been for 3 years. Clean record, no known ties to her father's organization. So she got out. Apparently. Are you going to use her? Moretti hesitated, just a fraction of a second, but Maya caught it. I haven't decided yet. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. Fair enough. They spent the afternoon preparing for the warehouse operation. Maya practiced moving through the space, learning the sight lines and exit points. Moretti's people ran through their positions, checking equipment and communications. It felt like getting ready for opening night of a play where everyone might die. At 7:30, Maya changed into dark clothes. Jeans, black t-shirt, boots. Moretti gave her a comm unit, nearly invisible in her ear. You'll have constant communication, he said. Any trouble? You say the word and we extract you. What's the word? Lighthouse. Why lighthouse? Does it matter? I guess not. He handed her something else. A small pistol. Glock 43. Compact. Reliable. I thought I was supposed to look unarmed. You are. This is backup. Last resort only. Maya checked the weapon. Loaded. One in the chamber. Safety on. Muscle memory kicked in, her hands moving through the motions her father had taught her a lifetime ago. You remember, Moretti said. Some things you don't forget. She tucked the gun into her waistband, hidden under her shirt. Vincent appeared. Cars are ready. Perimeter team is in position. Good. Moretti looked at Maya. Last chance to back out. I'm not backing out. Didn't think so, but I had to offer. They went to the warehouse. It was exactly as Moretti had described. Large, mostly empty, good sight lines. A few pallets of damaged inventory from the bar fire were stacked near the entrance. Props for the performance. Maya stood in the center of the space, feeling very small and very exposed. The comm crackled in her ear. Radio check, Moretti's voice. Can you hear me? Loud and clear. Good. We're all in position. You're covered from 6 different angles. Just act natural. Act natural. Right. Stand in an empty warehouse and wait for assassins while acting natural. She pulled out her phone, pretended to check inventory against a clipboard, made herself visible, made herself a target. Minutes crawled by. 10, 20, 30. Nothing. Maybe they're not coming, she said quietly. They're coming, Moretti replied. Give it time. More waiting. Then Vincent's voice, urgent. Movement, east entrance, 2 contacts, male, armed. Maya's pulse kicked up. She didn't move, didn't look. I see them, Moretti said. Hold positions. Let them commit. The warehouse door creaked open. Footsteps. 2 sets. Moving with purpose. Maya kept her eyes on her phone, forced her breathing to stay steady. Ms. Van Tuck? A voice behind her, calm, professional. We need you to come with us. She turned slowly. 2 men, mid-30s, expensive suits, guns held low and ready. Who are you, she asked. Doesn't matter, you are coming with us. Voluntarily or otherwise. And if I choose otherwise? The man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Then this gets unpleasant. Maya's hand drifted toward her waistband. The second man raised his gun. Don't. Easy, the first man said. We don't want to hurt you. We just want to talk. Talk here. Our employer prefers privacy. Your employer can... The warehouse lights cut out. Everything went black. And then the shooting started. Maya dropped. Pure instinct. Her father's training kicking in before conscious thought could interfere. She hit the concrete floor hard, palms scraping, and rolled left as muzzle flashes lit up the darkness like strobes at a nightmare rave. The comm in her ear was chaos. Moretti shouting orders, Vincent calling positions, someone screaming about additional contacts. The 2 men who'd been confronting her were returning fire, but not at her. At shadows moving in the darkness. At Moretti's people. This wasn't the plan. Maya's hand found the Glock. She pulled it, thumbed off the safety, and tried to make sense of the firefight erupting around her. Maya, status! Moretti's voice cut through the noise. Alive, pinned down near the east wall. Stay low. We're coming to you. More gunfire. Closer now. She saw one of the suited men go down, chest blooming red. The other one was moving toward her, using the pallets as cover. Don't shoot, he hissed. I'm not with them. With who? The 3rd team. This was a setup. They knew we'd be here. The warehouse doors exploded inward. Not opened. Exploded. Breaching charges, military grade. Maya's ears rang from the concussion. Through the smoke came more figures, 6, maybe 8, moving with tactical precision. Night vision goggles, body armor, professional-grade hardware. These weren't Castellano's people. These were something else. Lighthouse, Maya said into the comm. Lighthouse, lighthouse. Extraction impossible, Vincent's voice strained. We're engaged on 3 sides. The man near her fired twice, dropped someone coming through the smoke, then took a round in the shoulder and went down cursing. Maya made a decision, probably a stupid one. She grabbed him under the arms and dragged him behind the pallet stack. He was heavy, dead weight, breathing in sharp gasps. Who are you? She demanded. Nick Torino. I was supposed to bring you to Victor. Talk. That's all. Just talk. Torino. As in Sal Torino? My father. He wants you alive. These people don't. A grenade bounced across the floor. Maya saw it, saw the 3-second fuse, saw death coming. She threw herself over Torino and braced. The explosion was massive, deafening. She felt the shockwave roll over her, felt shrapnel tear into the pallet above them, felt wood splinter and rain down. When she looked up, her ears were ringing so loud she couldn't hear anything else. Couldn't hear the gunfire, couldn't hear the comm chatter, just a high-pitched whine that felt like it was drilling into her skull. Someone grabbed her shoulder. She spun, gun up. Moretti. His mouth was moving, but she couldn't hear the words. He was bleeding from a cut above his eye, suit jacket torn. She shook her head, pointed to her ears. He got it. Pulled her up, gestured toward a service door she hadn't noticed before. Emergency exit. Smart. Maya grabbed Torino again. Moretti took his other side. Together they hauled him toward the door while around them the warehouse turned into a war zone. They made it maybe 10 feet before someone stepped out of the smoke directly in front of them. Woman. 30. Asian. Black tactical gear. Face completely expressionless. She had a gun pointed at Maya's head. Maya's Glock was pointed back. Mexican standoff. The woman's lips moved. Maya couldn't hear her but could read the words. Drop it. Maya didn't drop it. The woman shifted her aim. To Moretti. Maya's finger tightened on the trigger. Then Vincent appeared from nowhere and hit the woman like a freight train. They went down in a tangle of limbs, and the woman's gun went skittering across the floor. Moretti didn't wait. He hauled Maya and Torino through the service door, slammed it behind them, and they were in a corridor. Narrow, dark, but quiet. Maya's hearing was starting to come back. Muffled, like she was underwater, but functional. What the hell was that? She managed. Ambush. Someone knew about the operation. Moretti was checking Torino's shoulder. The bleeding was bad, but not arterial. Can you walk? Do I have a choice? Torino's face was pale, sweating. Not really. They moved down the corridor. Behind them, the sounds of fighting continued. Ahead, unknown. The corridor opened into a loading bay. 3 vehicles. 2 of Moretti's SUVs and 1 unmarked van. The van, Torino said. That's theirs. Whose? I don't know. But they were waiting for us. Knew exactly when we'd arrive. Moretti pulled out his phone. Tried to call Vincent. No signal. The building was blocking it, or someone was jamming communications. Professional, coordinated, expensive. We need to move, Maya said. If they brought a van, they brought a driver. As if on cue, the van's side door slid open. Nobody got out. Moretti raised his gun. Maya did the same. Easy. A voice from inside the van. Male. American accent. Calm. I'm just here to talk. Talking seems to involve a lot of shooting tonight, Moretti said. That wasn't me. That was my employers making a point. What point? That they can reach you anywhere. That your security is porous. That the people you trust aren't trustworthy. Maya's stomach dropped. You have someone inside. Had. Past tense. He served his purpose. Moretti's expression didn't change, but Maya felt him go very still beside her. Who? He asked. Does it matter? He's already dead, killed in the firefight. Very unfortunate. What do you want? To deliver a message. My employers aren't interested in a war. They're interested in a merger. Not interested. You haven't heard the terms. Don't need to. The man in the van sighed. Adrian Moretti, always so principled. Your sister would be proud. Moretti's gun hand didn't waver, but Maya saw his jaw tighten. Leave Elena out of this. Can't do that. She's the whole reason we're having this conversation. She was building a case. Good case. Would have hurt the Castellanos badly, so they eliminated the threat. I know that story. I lived it. But you don't know the ending. See, Victor Castellano didn't order that hit. We did. Silence. Heavy as a gravestone. You're lying, Moretti said. Why would I lie? I'm here under a flag of truce, delivering information. What you do with it is up to you. Who's we? People who saw an opportunity. The Castellanos were becoming a problem, too visible, too violent, drawing too much attention. We needed them weakened, destabilized, so we arranged for a prosecutor to die and made it look like their work. Maya's mind was racing. If this was true, if Moretti had been going after the wrong people for 2 years, you're saying the Castellanos are innocent, she said. I'm saying they're guilty of many things, but not that particular crime. The car accident, the brake lines, the whole tragic scene. That was us. And it worked beautifully. You've been at war with them ever since, weakening both organizations, making our job easier. Moretti was shaking, barely visible, but Maya could see it. Rage held in check by pure force of will. Why tell me now? He asked. Because the war needs to end. You've served your purpose. The Castellanos are vulnerable. You're vulnerable. Time for consolidation. My employers are prepared to offer you a partnership. Very generous terms. You keep your territory, your operations. We just need cooperation on certain initiatives. And if I refuse, then you'll die. Tonight, along with everyone in this building, we have enough men, enough firepower, enough planning. You can't win. Maya watched Moretti's face, watched him process, calculate. She could almost see the wheels turning. I need time, he said finally. You have 1 hour. After that, we clean house. The van door slid shut. Engine started. The van pulled away, smooth and unhurried. Torino slid down the wall, sitting heavily. We're all dead. Not yet. Moretti was already moving, checking the SUVs. Keys are gone. They disabled the vehicles. Maya tried the loading bay door, locked from the outside. They were trapped. The corridor, she said. They went back the way they'd come. The fighting had stopped. The sudden silence was worse than the gunfire. Maya's calm crackled, Vincent's voice barely audible. South side, 3 down, holding position. Vincent, status, Moretti said. Not good. We're pinned. They're not pushing, just containing, waiting for something. Waiting for my answer, Moretti said. How many casualties? 5 wounded, 2 critical. Jensen's dead, Mike's dead. These people are professionals. Maya felt sick. Jensen had driven her to her apartment that morning, had made a joke about the weather, had seemed like a decent guy. Now he was dead because she'd kissed a stranger to save his life. Can you get to the east stairwell? Moretti asked. Negative, too exposed. Stay put, I'll find another way. He ended the transmission, looked at Maya and Torino. We need leverage, he said. Against who? We don't even know who they are, Maya said. They know who I am. They know about Elena. They've been planning this for years. He paced, thinking. They're not Castellano. They're not any of the families I know, which means they're new or old and hidden. Corporate? Maya suggested. The way they operate, the resources. This feels more like military contractors than street crime. Moretti stopped pacing, looked at her. Say that again. Military contractors? Private security? The kind of people who do extractions and regime changes in third world countries. Elena's case. She wasn't just going after the Castellanos. She was investigating money laundering. International. Following the money through shell corporations and offshore accounts. To where? I never got to see her files. Everything disappeared after she died. But she'd mentioned something once about defense contractors using organized crime to move money. Billions of dollars. Untraceable. Maya's head was spinning. This was bigger than a gang war. Bigger than revenge. This was about money. Real money. The kind that bought governments. So we're caught in the middle of what? Corporate espionage? Corporate consolidation. They're cleaning up loose ends. The Castellanos are too messy. I'm too stubborn. They want control. Clean control. And we're all loose ends, Torino added. You, me, Victor, everyone who knows anything. The calm crackled again. Different voice this time, the man from the van. Mr. Moretti, you have 45 minutes. I suggest you use them wisely. Moretti pulled out his phone. Still no signal. They're jamming us. We can't call for help, can't coordinate. He looked at the corridor, the loading bay, the locked doors. We need to get out of this building. How? Maya asked. We're trapped. There's always a way out. We just have to find it. They searched, methodically. Room by room, most were locked. The ones that weren't were empty. Storage, office space, nothing useful. Until Maya found the maintenance room. It was small, cluttered, full of tools and spare parts and cleaning supplies. And in the ceiling, a ventilation shaft. Too small, Moretti said. Maya looked at it, looked at herself, looked at Torino, bleeding and barely conscious. I'll fit, she said. Where does it lead? Only one way to find out. She didn't wait for permission, climbed onto a shelf, pushed aside the vent cover, and pulled herself up. The shaft was tight, dusty, dark. She pulled out her phone, used the flashlight. Ahead, the shaft branched, left and right. She picked right, crawled. The metal was cold under her hands, loud. Every movement echoed, but she kept going. After maybe 50 feet, she found another vent, looked down through the grating. Warehouse floor, different section, and below, 4 men in tactical gear, standing around, waiting. She kept crawling. The next vent opened into an office. Empty. She kicked it open, dropped down. The office had a window, small, high up, but it opened onto an alley. Maya went back to the vent, called down. Moretti, northeast corner, office with the blue door. I found an exit. Copy that. She waited. 2 minutes. 3. Then Moretti appeared, hauling Torino with him. They looked worse. Torino's face was gray. He needs a hospital, Maya said. He needs to not be dead. Hospital comes after. They got Torino up to the window. It was a tight fit, but they managed. Dropped him into the alley. He hit hard, groaned. Maya went next, then Moretti. The alley was narrow, dark, smelled like garbage and rain. Which way? Maya asked. Moretti was already moving. North. There's a safe house 3 blocks from here. They half carried, half dragged Torino. He was fading. Blood loss, shock, both. Behind them, Maya heard shouts. They'd been spotted. They ran. Not gracefully, not quickly, but they moved. The safe house was a noodle shop, closed this time of night. Moretti had a key. They got inside, locked the door. The back room had medical supplies. Moretti worked on Torino's shoulder while Maya watched the street through a gap in the curtains. No pursuit. Not yet. They're letting us go, she said. For now. They want me to think about their offer. Fear works better when you have time to feel it. Maya's hands were shaking, adrenaline crash. She forced them still. What are we going to do? We're going to find out who they are, and then we're going to burn them down. With what? Your organization just got decimated. We're running for our lives. We have no resources, no backup, no plan. Moretti finished bandaging Torino, who'd passed out. We have something better than resources, he said. What? We have you. Maya stared at him. I'm not a weapon. No, you're leverage. Victor Castellano's enemy, your father's daughter, the woman who saved my life. He stood, moved closer. They're trying to eliminate threats, control variables, but they didn't count on you, on someone who doesn't fit their models. I don't fit anyone's model, including my own. Good. That makes you dangerous. Maya wanted to argue, wanted to say this was insane, that she was just a bartender who'd made one impulsive decision and now her entire life was in flames. But she couldn't, because he was right. She was dangerous, had always been dangerous, had spent 7 years trying to pretend otherwise, but her father's training was in her bones, his instincts in her blood. What do you need me to do? She asked. Contact Victor Castellano. Tell him we need to talk. He'll kill me. Not if you tell him the truth, that someone's been playing us against each other, that his real enemy isn't me. He won't believe me. He will if you bring him proof. What proof? Moretti pulled something from his jacket, a small USB drive. Elena's case files. I've had copies this whole time. Hidden, encrypted. Everything she found about the money laundering, the shell corporations, the defense contractors. He held it out. This is what they've been afraid of, what they killed her to bury. Maya took the drive. It was warm from his body heat. If I give this to Victor, he'll see who his real enemies are, and he'll make the same choice I'm making, which is to fight back. The comm crackled one last time, the man from the van. Time's up, Mr. Moretti. What's your answer? Moretti pulled out his phone. Signal was back. They weren't jamming anymore. He dialed, waited. Vincent, sound off. Still here, barely. I need you to do something for me. Get everyone out. Fall back to secondary positions. Tell them the war just changed. Copy that? Moretti ended the call, looked at the comm unit. My answer, he said into it, is no. Then he crushed the unit under his heel. Maya felt her heart hammering. They'd just declared war on an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't touch, couldn't even name. This is suicide, she said. Probably. And you're doing it anyway. Yes. Why? Moretti looked at her, really looked, and for the first time since she'd met him, she saw past the control and the careful charm to something raw underneath. Because my sister died believing the system could be fixed, that justice was possible, And I watched them cover it up, bury the evidence, make it all disappear like she never mattered. His voice was quiet, hard. I'm not fighting for territory or money or power. I'm fighting because someone has to stand up and say no, even if it's the last thing I do. Maya understood that, had lived with that same fury for 7 years, just pointed inward instead of out. Okay, she said. Then let's go to war. They left Torino with a doctor Moretti trusted, paid cash, no questions. The kind of arrangement that existed in every city if you knew where to look. Then they went to see Victor Castellano. The compound was exactly as Maya remembered. High walls, guards, security that looked military grade, because it probably was. They parked a quarter-mile away, walked the rest. He's going to shoot us the moment we're in range, Maya said. Maybe. That's comforting. I try. They approached the main gate, hands visible, unarmed, at least visibly. The guards recognized Moretti immediately. Guns came up. Maya raised her hands higher. We're here to talk to Victor, Moretti called out, about a mutual problem. Mr. Castellano doesn't talk to dead men. Then it's lucky I'm still breathing. One of the guards spoke into a radio, waited, then nodded. Inside, slowly. Any sudden moves, and you're both corpses. They walked through the gate, across a courtyard, past more guards, into the main house. Victor Castellano was older than Maya expected. 70, maybe. Gray hair. Expensive suit. Face like carved stone. He was sitting behind a desk that probably cost more than Maya had made in her entire life, looking at them with eyes that had seen everything and been impressed by nothing. Adrian Moretti, he said. His voice was rough. Cigarettes and age. You have balls walking in here. Or common sense. Depends on perspective. Victor's gaze shifted to Maya. And Marcus Vance's daughter. I heard you were dead. People keep saying that. I keep disappointing them. Your father was a good man, loyal. It was unfortunate what happened. You had him killed for a crime he didn't commit. Victor's expression didn't change. I had him killed for betrayal. The evidence was clear. The evidence was planted by Danny Greco, who confessed before Moretti killed him 3 years ago. Now Victor's eyes narrowed. Is this true? It's true, Moretti said. I found proof, witnesses, bank records showing Greco's theft. Your lieutenant lied to you, and you killed an innocent man. Then why am I only hearing about this now? Because I was using it as leverage, insurance, proof that your organization wasn't as tight as you thought. Victor stood, moved to the window, looked out at his compound. Why are you here, Moretti? Because we've both been played, your organization and mine, set against each other by people who wanted us weak. What people? Moretti pulled out the USB drive, set it on the desk. Defense contractors, private military companies, people with enough money and power to manipulate both of us. They killed my sister. They framed Maya's father. They've been orchestrating this war from the beginning. Victor picked up the drive, turned it over in his fingers. And you expect me to believe you? I expect you to look at the evidence. Elena Moretti's case files, everything she found about the money laundering operations. Your name's in there, Victor. But so are a lot of others, bigger names, people who make both of us look like street dealers. And what do you want from me? An alliance, temporary. We find these people, we expose them, we burn their operation to the ground. Then we go back to our respective corners and pretend this never happened. Victor was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at Maya. Your father taught you to shoot, yes? Among other things. He was good, very good. I regretted his death, even believed it was necessary. He paused. If what Moretti says is true, then I owe your father's memory an apology. And more than that, you owe him justice. Justice is expensive. So is war. Victor smiled. It was cold, sharp. The smile of a man who'd built an empire on knowing exactly how much violence cost and being willing to pay it. I'll look at your files, he said to Moretti. If they're real, if this conspiracy is real, then we talk again. But if you're lying to me, I'm not. If you're lying to me, I'll kill you slowly, and I'll make her watch. Moretti didn't flinch. Understood. They left the compound, got back to the car. Maya's hands were still shaking. That went better than expected, Moretti said. He threatened to torture you. He didn't shoot us. That's a win. Maya's phone rang. Unknown number. She was getting tired of unknown numbers. She answered anyway. Maya Vance, a woman's voice this time, young, nervous. Who is this? Isabella Castellano. I need your help. Maya's stomach dropped. She looked at Moretti, mouthed the name. His eyes widened. Why would you call me? Maya asked. Because someone just tried to kill me, and the only person I can think of who might understand what that's like is you. Maya put the phone on speaker. Moretti leaned closer, listening. Where are you? Maya asked. New York. My apartment. There were 2 men. They broke in through the fire escape. I got out through the neighbor's place, but they're still looking. Did they say what they wanted? No, they had guns, silencers, professional. Isabella's breathing was ragged, panicked. I called my father, but his people said he's in a meeting. I don't know who else to trust. Maya looked at Moretti. He was already pulling up something on his phone, probably flight information. How did you get my number? Maya asked. My father keeps files. On everyone. I accessed them when this started. You're Marcus Vance's daughter. You got out. I thought maybe you could tell me how. Getting out doesn't mean staying out. I'm realizing that. Maya heard something in the background. Voices. Isabella's sharp intake of breath. They found me, she whispered. Where exactly are you? Coffee shop, corner of 5th and... The line went dead. Moretti was already dialing. Vincent, I need the jet ready in 20 minutes. We going to New York? We're going to New York. Maya stared at the phone, at the empty connection. She could be lying, could be bait. She's not. How do you know? Because I heard her fear. You can't fake that, not convincingly. They drove to the private airfield on the outskirts of the city. Maya had never been on a private jet before. It felt surreal. Leather seats, full bar, TV screens, all of it coated in the smell of money. Vincent met them at the plane. He looked like he'd been through a war. Because he had. Casualties? Moretti asked. 3 dead, Jensen, Mike, and Ramirez. 4 wounded but stable. The rest scattered to safe houses. Vincent's jaw was tight. These people weren't playing. They came to eliminate us. But they didn't. Because we got lucky. Next time we might not. The flight took 2 hours. Maya spent most of it staring out the window at the darkness below, thinking about Isabella Castellano, about what it meant to be born into a world you didn't choose, to carry a name that came with expectations and enemies and a future already written. She knew that feeling, had lived it for 18 years before her father's death gave her an excuse to run. But Isabella hadn't run, had tried to build something different, and now that past was catching up anyway. Moretti sat across from her, working on his laptop, making calls, coordinating. He moved through crisis like it was just another day at the office. You do this often? Maya asked. Do what? Fly across the country to rescue strangers. Isabella's not a stranger. She's Victor Castellano's daughter, which makes her valuable. That's cold. It's practical. In this world, everyone's valuable for something. The trick is figuring out what. What am I valuable for? He looked up, met her eyes. You haven't figured that out yet. Humor me. You're valuable because you understand both sides. You know violence, but you chose peace. You know this life, but you walked away from it. That perspective is rare. Perspective doesn't stop bullets. No, but it helps you see them coming. They landed at a private airfield in Jersey. 2 cars were waiting. Black SUVs, more of Moretti's people. Maya was starting to wonder exactly how large his organization was. The drive into Manhattan took 40 minutes. Traffic even at this hour. The city that never slept living up to its reputation. They went to Isabella's last known location. The coffee shop was closed now, dark. No sign of struggle, no blood. Nothing to indicate anything had happened. She said they found her, Maya said, but there's nothing here. Vincent was checking his phone. I'm pulling security footage from the area. Give me a minute. Maya walked the perimeter, looking for what, she wasn't sure. Evidence, clues, anything. She found it in the alley behind the shop. A phone. Shattered screen. Isabella's, probably. Dropped or thrown. And blood. Not much. Just a smear on the brick wall. Moretti. He came over, looked at what she'd found. His expression darkened. They took her. How do you know she didn't just run? Because Isabella Castellano wouldn't drop her phone. It's her lifeline, her connection to her father, to safety, to everything. He pulled out his own phone. And the blood means they weren't gentle about it. Vincent appeared. Got something. Security footage from the bodega across the street. 2 men escorted a woman matching Isabella's description into a van. White panel van. No plates visible. Headed north. Timestamp? 40 minutes ago. Moretti was already moving back to the cars. They're taking her somewhere. Somewhere they can control. Somewhere private. Maya followed. They're using her as leverage. Against her father. Against all of us. Victor looks at those files, decides to help us. They need insurance. A reason for him to back off. They drove. Moretti made calls. Coordinating with people Maya didn't know, putting pieces in motion she couldn't see. This was his world. He moved through it with the confidence of someone who'd spent years building systems and networks and backups. Maya felt useless, out of her depth. She was good in a crisis, good when bullets started flying, but this chess game of phone calls and favors and information networks was beyond her. Stop thinking so loud, Moretti said. I'm not. You're wondering what use you are, how you fit into this. She didn't answer, didn't need to. You fit because you see things other people miss. You spotted the sniper. You found the ventilation shaft. You read Isabella's fear when I might have dismissed it as manipulation. He glanced at her. You're not useless. You're just used to working alone. My father taught me that trusting people gets you killed. Your father was wrong about some things. Maya wanted to argue, wanted to defend the man who'd raised her, trained her, loved her in his own broken way. But she couldn't, because Moretti was right. Her father had been wrong. About trust, about safety, about the idea that you could protect the people you loved by keeping them isolated. In the end, he'd died alone on a kitchen floor while his daughter hid and did nothing. She wasn't going to let Isabella die the same way. Vincent's phone rang. He answered, listened. His expression changed. We got a location. Warehouse in Red Hook, industrial area. Private security cameras picked up the van. How old is the footage? 20 minutes? Then they're still there. Or they were. Moretti leaned forward. How fast can we get there? 30 minutes. Maybe less if I run lights. Run them. They ran them. Vincent drove like he was being chased. Maybe he was. Maybe they all were. Red Hook was exactly what Maya expected. Warehouses and shipping containers and streets that looked abandoned even when they weren't. The kind of place where bad things happened and nobody noticed. The warehouse was near the water. Large, metal siding, loading docks, dark except for a single light over the entrance. Too obvious, Maya said. Or confident, Moretti replied. They're not hiding. They want us to find them. It's a trap. Probably. And we're walking into it anyway. You have a better idea? Maya didn't. They parked 2 blocks away, approached on foot. Vincent had thermal imaging equipment, expensive toys. He scanned the building. I'm reading 6 heat signatures inside, 1 isolated, probably Isabella, the others grouped near the west entrance. What about the east? Clear, but that doesn't mean it's safe. Moretti pulled out his gun, checked it. Maya did the same with the Glock he'd given her. It felt heavy, real, like the weight of every choice that had led her to this moment. We go in quiet, Moretti said. Extract Isabella. Get out before anyone knows we were here. And if they know we're coming, then we improvise. They moved to the east entrance. Vincent worked the lock. It opened with a soft click. They slipped inside. The warehouse was enormous. Dark. Stacks of crates created a maze of shadows and blind corners. Maya's heart was hammering, every instinct screaming danger. They moved through the space, silent, professional. Vincent took point, thermal scanner leading the way. They found Isabella in a storage room near the back. She was tied to a chair, gagged, eyes wide with fear that turned to confusion when she saw them. Moretti cut her bonds while Vincent kept watch. Maya pulled the gag away. You came, Isabella whispered. Seemed like the right thing to do, Maya said. They're waiting for you. They said someone would come, that you'd walk right into it. Where are they? Everywhere. I don't know. They moved me here blindfolded. Moretti got Isabella to her feet. She was shaking. Mid-20s, dark hair, expensive clothes now torn and dirty. She looked like someone who'd never experienced real violence until today. "Can you walk?" he asked. "I think so." They started back the way they came. Slow. Careful. They made it maybe 20 feet before the lights came on. Blinding. Painful. Maya raised her hand to shield her eyes. When her vision cleared, she saw them. 12 men, armed, positioned in a half circle, blocking the exit, and at the center, the man from the van. Still calm. Still collected. "Mr. Moretti, Ms. Vance, Ms. Castellano, how kind of you to join us." Moretti's gun was already up. So was Vincent's. Maya's. But they were outgunned, and everyone knew it. "Let them go," Moretti said. "Whatever you want, it's with me. What I want is compliance, cooperation, the merger I offered. I gave you my answer. And I'm giving you a chance to reconsider. You, Victor Castellano, and anyone else who might think resistance is viable." The man gestured to Isabella. "Insurance to ensure good behavior. You think Victor will negotiate with his daughter's life? I think Victor will do exactly what we tell him, as will you." Maya's mind was racing. 12 shooters, 3 of them. Isabella unarmed and terrified. The math didn't work. Even if they got lucky, even if they took down half before going down themselves, they'd still lose. Unless... She looked at the stacks of crates, at the spacing, at the single light source creating deep shadows. "Moretti," she said quietly. "The lights." He understood immediately, didn't question, just fired. The light exploded. Darkness crashed down like a wave. Maya grabbed Isabella and ran. Didn't think, just moved. Heard gunfire behind her, muzzle flashes lighting up the space like lightning. She pulled Isabella behind a stack of crates, covered her mouth. "Don't make a sound," she whispered. Isabella nodded. Tears streaming down her face but staying silent. More gunfire, shouting, the chaos of combat in confined spaces. Maya peeked around the crate, saw Moretti and Vincent moving through the shadows, taking shots, displacing, professional. But they were still outnumbered, still in trouble. She needed to even the odds. Maya pulled Isabella deeper into the stacks, found what she was looking for. A service ladder, leading up to a catwalk that ran the length of the warehouse. "Climb," she told Isabella. "I can't..." "Climb or die. Pick one." Isabella climbed. Maya followed, the Glock in one hand pulling herself up with the other. They reached the catwalk. Metal, rusted, probably not rated for weight anymore, but it gave her height, gave her an angle. She could see the whole warehouse floor now, see the men moving through the darkness, see Moretti and Vincent pinned behind a forklift. She aimed, breathed, squeezed. The shot was loud, echoing. One of the shooters went down. Everyone looked up. Maya fired again. And again. Not trying for kills, just trying to create chaos. Make them scatter. Give Moretti and Vincent room to move. It worked. The men broke formation, seeking cover, confused by fire from an unexpected angle. Moretti capitalized, moved fast, took down 2 more shooters. Then someone found the catwalk with their flashlight. Saw Maya. Bullets tore through the metal. Maya dropped flat, pulling Isabella down with her. The catwalk groaned, metal screaming, the bolts holding it to the wall starting to give. "We need to move," Maya said. "Where?" Good question. They were 30 feet up. The ladder was in the line of fire, and the catwalk was about to collapse. Maya looked around desperately, saw the skylight, 20 feet away. Not far. Possibly reachable. Probably suicide. "Can you run?" she asked Isabella. "What? Can you run?" I think so." "Then run. To that skylight. Don't stop. Don't look back." "What about you?" "I'll be right behind you." She was lying. She needed to give Isabella time. Cover. A chance. But Isabella was already moving, running along the catwalk, feet pounding metal. Maya stood, started firing, drawing attention, drawing fire. The catwalk shuddered, more bolts popping, whole structure starting to tilt. Isabella reached the skylight, started climbing, out onto the roof. Maya turned to follow. The catwalk gave way. She felt it drop, felt gravity take hold, threw herself forward, hands reaching for something, anything. Caught the edge of the skylight frame, hung there. 30 feet of empty air below. Her shoulders screamed. The Glock fell from her hand, clattered on the warehouse floor below. She couldn't pull herself up, arms shaking, fingers slipping. This was it. This was how she died. Hanging from a broken skylight in a warehouse in Brooklyn, trying to save someone she didn't even know. Her father would have been proud. Or furious. Probably both. Then hands grabbed her wrists, small hands, strong grip. Isabella. "I've got you," she said. "You can't—" "Shut up and climb." Maya got her feet against the wall, pushed. Isabella pulled. Together they got Maya up and through the skylight, out onto the roof. They collapsed, breathing hard, the sounds of fighting still echoing from below. "Thank you," Maya managed. "You saved my life. We're not safe yet." They weren't. The roof was flat, exposed, nowhere to hide. But there was a fire escape on the far side. They ran for it. Got halfway before the warehouse door burst open below, men pouring out, looking up, spotting them. Maya and Isabella scrambled down the fire escape, feet clanging on metal, shots sparking off the railing. They hit the ground running, into the maze of shipping containers. No plan, just survival. Behind them, pursuit. Flashlights cutting through the darkness, voices shouting coordinates. Maya's lungs were burning. She'd lost her gun, lost Moretti and Vincent, lost any sense of where she was or where to go. They rounded a corner, ran straight into someone. Maya raised her fists, ready to fight, then recognized the face. Victor Castellano. He had 10 men with him, armed, ready. "Isabella," he said. Just her name. But Maya heard everything in it. Relief, rage, love. Isabella ran to him, collapsed into his arms, started sobbing. Victor held her, looked at Maya over his daughter's head. "Thank you," he said. 2 words, but they carried weight, meaning. Maya nodded, too tired to speak. "Where's Moretti?" Victor asked. "Inside, fighting." Victor gestured to his men. "Go, extract him, kill anyone who gets in your way." They went. Victor looked at Maya again. "You kept her safe." "Barely." "Barely is enough." He paused. "Your father would have done the same." "My father got himself killed." "Your father died protecting something he believed in. There are worse ways to go." Maybe. Maya was too exhausted to debate philosophy. Gunfire erupted from inside the warehouse. More of it now, louder. Victor's men joining the fight. Then silence. Then Moretti walked out. Vincent beside him, both alive. Both bloody, but standing. Behind them, Victor's men, dragging bodies. The man from the van wasn't among them. "He got away," Moretti said, "through a tunnel, probably leads to the waterfront." "Then we find him," Victor said. "We will. But first we need to regroup. Figure out who we're really fighting." Victor nodded. "Come, we talk somewhere secure." They went to a building Victor owned in Manhattan, penthouse. Similar to Moretti's, but older. More history in the walls. Isabella was taken away by a doctor Victor had on call. To be checked. To be safe. The rest of them sat around a table. Victor, Moretti, Vincent, Maya, and Sal Torino, Victor's lieutenant, the man who'd probably given the order to kill Maya's father. She tried not to look at him, tried to focus on the bigger picture. Victor pulled out a laptop, inserted the USB drive Moretti had given him. They spent the next hour going through Elena's files, following the money, the shell corporations, the defense contractors, the connections that went deeper than any of them had imagined. "This is massive," Victor said quietly. "These people have connections in every major government, every major military. They're not criminals, they're the system. Which is why they're untouchable," Moretti said, "through normal channels, through law enforcement or courts or politics." "So what do you suggest?" "We expose them, publicly, undeniably, make it too big to bury." "How?" Moretti looked at Maya. "We have the files, we have witnesses. We have Isabella's kidnapping as proof of current operations. We go to the media. All of it, simultaneously. Make it too big to kill." "They'll come after us," Victor said. "They're already coming after us. At least this way we fight back." Victor considered, then nodded. "Agreed. But we need insurance. Protection. I have contacts, journalists. Ones who can't be bought or threatened. We give them everything. Let them run with it. They spent the next 3 hours coordinating, making calls, sending encrypted files, building the foundation of what would either destroy their enemies or destroy them. Maya watched it happen. Watched these two men who'd been at war come together, united by a common threat. Her father would have called it poetry. Or irony. Probably both. Dawn was breaking when they finished. The files were out. Multiple journalists, multiple outlets, too distributed to stop. Now they just had to survive long enough for it to matter. Isabella came back. Bandaged, but safe. She looked at Maya. "Can we talk?" she asked. They went to the balcony. The city was waking up. Morning light hitting glass and steel. "You didn't have to come for me," Isabella said. "Yes, I did." "Why? You don't know me. We're not friends." "Because I know what it's like to be the daughter, to carry a name you didn't choose, to have enemies you didn't make." "But you got out." "I tried to. Didn't work." "Will it ever work?" Maya looked at her. At this young woman trying so hard to be different from her father, to build something clean. "I don't know," she said honestly. "Maybe getting out isn't the answer. Maybe the answer is changing what in means." Isabella smiled, tired but genuine. "That's very philosophical." "I'm very tired." They stood there as the sun rose. Two daughters, two legacies, two futures being written in real time. Inside, Moretti was watching them through the glass. When Maya met his eyes, he smiled. She smiled back and realized something. She wasn't running anymore, wasn't hiding. For the first time in 7 years, she was fighting, and it felt right. The news broke at noon, every major outlet simultaneously. New York Times, Washington Post, Reuters, CNN, all of them running the same story with slightly different angles but the same core truth. Defense contractors using organized crime to launder billions, politicians on the payroll, judges compromised, a shadow network operating inside the system, using it, corrupting it from within. Elena Moretti's files, all of them, public. Maya watched it unfold on the television in Victor's penthouse. Watched talking heads try to process information that was too big, too complex, too damning to fit into sound bites. Moretti stood beside her, silent, watching his sister's work finally see daylight. "She would have wanted it like this," Maya said. "She would have wanted to be alive to see it." "Yeah, she would have." They stood there while the world changed, while the conspiracy they'd uncovered started to unravel under the weight of public scrutiny. Victor's phone rang constantly. Other crime bosses, asking questions, making threats, demanding to know what this meant for them. He answered each call the same way. "I didn't start this war, but I'm ending it." By evening, 3 senators had resigned. 2 CEOs were under investigation. The FBI had announced a task force. The machine was moving, slow, bureaucratic, but moving. "They'll try to bury it anyway," Vincent said. He was watching the news with the cynicism of someone who'd seen too much. "Throw some low-level people under the bus, make it look like they're cleaning house, then go right back to business." "Maybe," Moretti said, "or maybe this time it's different." "You don't believe that." "I want to." Maya understood. The hope that maybe this time the system would work, that justice was possible, that Elena's death meant something beyond just revenge, but wanting something and believing it were different things. Her phone rang. She almost didn't answer, then saw the number. "This is Maya." "Ms. Vance." The voice was different, not modulated, real, male, tired. "My name is James Corrigan. I was the logistics coordinator for the operation you just exposed." Maya's pulse kicked up. She put the phone on speaker, gestured to Moretti. "Why are you calling me?" "Because I'm done. I've spent 15 years moving money and bodies for people who don't care if I live or die. And watching those files go public made me realize I have a choice. Keep serving them or save myself." "What do you want?" "Immunity, witness protection, a deal." "I'm not law enforcement." "But you're connected to people who are. Adrian Moretti, Victor Castellano. Between the two of them, they have enough contacts to make this happen." Moretti leaned forward. "This is Moretti. What can you give us?" "Everything. Names, locations, bank accounts, the entire network. Every operation from the last decade." Corrigan's voice cracked slightly. I kept records, insurance, in case they ever turned on me. Now I'm cashing it in. How do we know you're legitimate? Because I can tell you where the man from the warehouse is right now. His real name is Marcus Webb, former Delta Force, current freelance contractor. He's in a safe house in Connecticut. GPS coordinates are 41.3. Stop. Moretti was already writing. Send everything to this encrypted email. If it checks out, we'll talk about a deal. And if I send it, and you just use the information without protecting me, then you made a bad choice. But you're already making bad choices. At least this one might keep you alive. Silence. Then, I'll send it. The call ended. Victor had been listening from across the room. You trust him? No, Moretti said. But I'll verify his information. If it's good, he's useful. If it's not, we lose nothing. The files came through 20 minutes later. Moretti and Victor went through them, cross-referencing, checking, testing. Maya watched their faces, saw surprise, saw anger, saw confirmation. It's real, Victor said finally. All of it. This is the entire operation. Then we have them, Moretti said. Not yet. We have information that's different from having them. The FBI will take months, maybe years, and in that time, these people will disappear, destroy evidence, kill witnesses. Victor looked at Moretti. You want justice? Real justice? It doesn't come from courtrooms. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. She knew where this was going. You're talking about killing them, she said. I'm talking about ending this, permanently. That makes us no better than them. Maybe, but it makes us alive. Moretti was quiet, thinking. Maya could see the war happening behind his eyes. The man who wanted justice through the system versus the man who knew the system was broken. We take Webb, he said finally. Get him to talk. Find out who else is involved, who's giving orders. Then we make individual decisions about each target. That's just killing them with extra steps, Maya said. It's trying to be smart about it, trying to minimize collateral damage, or trying to feel better about murder. He looked at her. Yes, that too. She wanted to argue, wanted to say there was another way, but she'd seen too much, knew too much. These people had killed Elena, had framed her father, had tried to kill her, Isabella, all of them. Maybe Victor was right. Maybe justice in a courtroom was a fantasy. Maybe real justice came from eliminating threats before they could hurt anyone else. Her father would have agreed with that, would have said that in their world, you didn't wait for the system to protect you. You protected yourself, but her father was dead, killed by that same logic, that same cycle of violence begetting violence. I'm not killing anyone, but, Maya said. No one's asking you to, Moretti replied, but you're going to, if necessary. It's always necessary. That's the problem. There's always a reason, always a justification, and it never ends. Victor stood, moved to the window. Your father understood this, understood that some people need to die so others can live. It's not pretty. It's not moral. But it's true. My father died because of that truth, died because he lived in a world where killing was the answer to every problem. He died because he was framed, because the system failed him. The system failed him because people like you made it fail, corrupted it, broke it, and now you want to bypass it entirely because it's broken. Maya shook her head. You don't see the cycle. You're part of it. Victor turned. His eyes were hard. Then what do you suggest? We let them go? Let them regroup and come at us again? I suggest we give the information to the FBI. Let them build cases. Do it right. And when the FBI is compromised too? When the people we're trying to expose own the investigators? Maya didn't have an answer for that, because he was probably right. The silence stretched, heavy, uncomfortable. Then Isabella spoke up. She'd been quiet this whole time, listening. What if there's a middle ground, she said. Everyone looked at her. What if we find Webb? Get him to talk. Get more names. And then we give everything to the media again, not the FBI, not the courts, the public. She looked at her father. You said the system is broken, fine, but public pressure is different. When enough people know, when enough people care, even corrupt systems have to respond. That's naive, Victor said. Maybe, But it's better than just killing everyone who threatens us. That's not a solution. That's just more violence. Maya felt something shift in her chest. Hope. Small. Fragile. But there. She's right, Maya said. We keep exposing them. Keep making it public. Make it too expensive, too visible for them to operate. Moretti was watching her. And when they send more contractors, more killers, then we defend ourselves. But we don't become them. Pretty words. Hard to live by. Everything worth doing is hard. He smiled, tired but genuine. Your father used to say that. I know. He was right about some things. Victor was shaking his head. This is a mistake. You're leaving enemies alive, giving them chances to regroup. Probably, Moretti said. But I'm tired of making the other kind of mistake, the kind Elena died trying to fix. Victor looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. You're both idiots. But fine. We do this your way. For now. They spent the next day planning, coordinating with Corrigan, verifying his information about Webb's location. The safe house in Connecticut was exactly where Corrigan said it would be. Isolated, wooded, good security, but not impossible. We go in quiet, Moretti said. Extract Webb, get him talking. And then? Victor asked. And then we decide, based on what he tells us. They went in at dawn, 3 cars, Moretti's people and Victor's, temporary alliance holding. Maya insisted on coming, against Moretti's objections, against her own better judgment, but she needed to see this through, needed to know that they could do this without becoming the thing they were fighting. The safe house was small, 2 stories, lights off, no visible movement. Vincent's thermal scan showed 1 person inside, upstairs, sleeping or resting. They breached the front door, quick, professional. No alarms. Webb either felt safe or was sloppy. They found him upstairs, in bed, asleep, gun under his pillow, but he never reached it. Vincent had him pinned before he was fully awake. Webb didn't fight, just looked at them with the flat expression of someone who'd expected this eventually. Moretti, he said. Webb. Corrigan sold me out. He sold everyone out. Smart man. Not that smart. He'll be dead in a week. Maybe. Or maybe witness protection works better than you think. They zip-tied Webb, brought him downstairs, sat him in a chair. Victor stood in front of him. You tried to kill my daughter. Webb said nothing. That's a problem for me. Personal problem. I was doing my job. Your job was threatening children? My job was leverage, insurance. She wasn't supposed to be hurt. But she was scared, traumatized, kidnapped. Victor's voice was quiet, dangerous. You think that doesn't count? Webb met his eyes. I think in this world, scared is better than dead. I could have killed her. I didn't. You want credit for that? I want you to understand I'm not a monster. I'm a professional. Maya spoke up. Professionals don't work for people who launder money through criminal organizations. Webb looked at her. You're Marcus Vance's daughter. I am. He was good. Your father, better than most. He's also dead. We're all dead eventually. Question is what we do before then. Philosophical for a killer. Realistic for a soldier. I've been fighting other people's wars my whole life. This is just another contract. Moretti leaned forward. Who gave the orders? Who's running the operation? I don't know names, just handlers. Communication is compartmentalized. Corrigan gave us names. Corrigan had access I didn't. I'm field work. He was logistics. Then tell us what you do know. Webb was quiet, thinking, calculating. What's my play here? He asked. Cooperation gets you prison. Resistance gets you buried. That's not much incentive. It's more than you gave the people you killed. Webb smiled, cold. Fair point. He talked. For 3 hours, giving them locations, protocols, operational procedures, everything he knew about the organization he'd been working for. It wasn't complete. Wasn't enough to take down the whole network. But it was something. When he finished, Victor looked at Moretti. What now? Moretti called the FBI. Gave them the location. Told them they had a federal contractor in custody with information about the money laundering investigation. Then they left, before the FBI arrived, before questions could be asked that they didn't want to answer. In the car, Maya felt exhausted, drained. "You let him live," she said to Moretti. "I let the system deal with him. That's what you wanted." "What I wanted was for this to be over." "It's not over. Not yet. But it's closer." Over the next 3 weeks, the investigation grew. More arrests, more resignations. The network started to collapse. Not completely, not permanently, but enough to matter. Corrigan testified, Webb cut a deal. Others followed. The man who'd orchestrated Elena's death was found dead in his home. Apparent suicide. Maya didn't ask if Victor or Moretti had anything to do with it. Didn't want to know. Some questions were better left unasked. The Violet Hours insurance paid out. Maya used the money to rebuild. Different location, different name, but same idea. A place where she could be normal, or try to be. Moretti helped, with permits and contractors and things Maya didn't understand. She let him. Was learning that accepting help wasn't weakness. One night, 3 months after everything started, he showed up at the construction site. The bar was almost finished. New wood, new glass, new everything. "Looks good," he said. "It's getting there." "You planning to actually run it this time? Or are you going to kiss another stranger and blow up your life again?" Maya laughed. "I'm hoping for a quieter experience." "Boring. Boring sounds good right now." He was quiet for a moment, then, "I've been thinking about what you said, about the cycle, about becoming the thing we fight." And you were right. I was heading there, had been for 2 years, since Elena died. But you pulled me back, reminded me there are other ways. I didn't do anything. You did everything. He looked at her. You saved my life, multiple times, not just from bullets, from myself. Maya felt her throat tighten. I was just trying to survive. No, you were trying to be better than your circumstances. That's different. They stood there in the unfinished bar, surrounded by sawdust and potential. What happens now? Maya asked. Now we try to build something. You have your bar. I have my businesses. We see if we can make them legitimate. You're going straight? I'm going straighter. Baby steps. Victor know about this? Victor's making his own adjustments. Turns out almost losing his daughter changes a man's priorities. Isabella? Going back to New York, to her gallery, but staying in touch with her father. They're trying to figure out a relationship that isn't just blood and obligation. Good for them. Good for all of us. Moretti moved closer, not invading her space, just closing distance. I have a question, he said. Okay. That first kiss, in the bar, when you saved my life, he paused. Was it just tactical, just moving me out of the line of fire? Maya thought about lying, about keeping it simple, professional, but she was tired of lying, to him, to herself. No, she said, it wasn't just tactical. What was it? It was impulse, instinct, the feeling that if I let you die without trying, I'd regret it forever. Because of who I am? Because of who I thought you might be. And now that you know who I actually am, Maya looked at him, at this complicated, dangerous, surprisingly decent man who'd pulled her back into a world she'd tried to escape. Now I know I was right, she said. He kissed her, not frantically, not tactically, just kissed her, and Maya kissed him back. Because some things weren't about survival or strategy or careful planning. Some things were just about connection. About two broken people finding something whole in each other. When they broke apart, Moretti smiled. So what now? Now we finish building this bar, and we see what happens. That's not much of a plan. It's more than I had a year ago. Fair point. They worked together through the night, finishing details, making decisions, building something. By morning, the bar was ready. Not perfect, but functional. Real. Maya stood behind the counter, poured 2 drinks, handed one to Moretti. To new beginnings, he said. To surviving long enough to have them, Maya countered. They drank, and for the first time in 7 years, Maya felt something she'd thought was lost forever. Peace. Not the absence of danger, not safety, but the sense that she was exactly where she needed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do. Her father had been wrong about some things, about isolation, about trust, about the belief that you could protect people by keeping them away. But he'd been right about one thing. The moment you stop seeing people as people, you're already gone. Maya hadn't stopped seeing, hadn't let the violence and the fear and the loss turn her into something cold. She'd fought, she'd survived, she'd chosen connection over safety. And in doing so, she'd mastered the shadows her father had taught her to fear, not by running from them, but by walking through them, by refusing to let them define her. 6 months later, Moretti proposed. Not dramatically, not publicly, just the two of them. In the bar after closing, surrounded by empty glasses and the smell of whiskey. "Marry me," he said. Maya looked at him. "Why?" "Because I love you. Because you make me better. Because I want to build a life with you." "What kind of life?" "The kind where we're honest about what we are. Where we don't pretend to be something we're not. Where we take the violence we came from and turn it into something protective instead of destructive." "That's ambitious." "I'm an ambitious guy." Maya thought about it. About what marriage would mean, about tying herself permanently to a man whose business was still half legal on good days, about the fact that she didn't care. "Yes," she said. "Yes? Yes, I'll marry you." He kissed her, hard, happy. And Maya realized something. She wasn't running anymore, wasn't hiding, wasn't trying to be someone she wasn't. She was Maya Vance, Marcus Vance's daughter, survivor, fighter, woman who'd kissed a stranger and changed everything. And for the first time in her life, that was enough. They got married 6 months after that. Small ceremony. Victor was there. Isabella, Vincent, a few others. No drama, no attacks, no last-minute crisis. Just two people choosing each other, building something together. A year after the wedding, Maya got pregnant. It terrified her. The idea of bringing a child into this world, this complicated, dangerous, beautiful world. But Moretti held her hand and said, "We'll protect them, together, and we'll teach them to be strong, to be smart, to be kind. Like my father taught me, better than your father taught you, because we learned from his mistakes." Their daughter was born on a Tuesday. Healthy, perfect, screaming her outrage at the world. They named her Elena, for the woman who'd died trying to make things right, who'd believed in justice even when the system failed. Maya held her daughter and felt the weight of legacy, of choice, of the future being written in real time. "We're going to do better," she whispered. "We're going to give you a world where you don't have to hide, where you can be exactly who you are." It was a promise. Maybe impossible. Probably naive, but it was hers to make, and she would spend the rest of her life keeping it. Because that's what you did when you loved someone. When you saw them as a person, not a piece on a board. You fought for them. You protected them. You built something worth having. Maya Vance had spent 7 years running from her past. And in one moment, one choice, one kiss, she'd stopped running, had turned around and faced it, had mastered the shadows, and turned them into light. The bar thrived. The marriage lasted. The daughter grew up strong and loved. And sometimes, late at night, when the city was quiet and the world felt still, Maya would think about that night in the violet hour, about the reflection in the window, about the choice to act instead of hide, about the man she'd saved who'd become the man she loved, about the life she'd built from the ashes of the one she'd tried to leave behind. And she would smile, because in the end, the woman who'd run from the shadows hadn't escaped them. She'd mastered them and turned them into a future worth fighting for.